everyone, welcome to my very first YouTube video. I'm pretty sure 99% of you already know me because all y'all are the ones that told me to make this video. But if for some strange reason you are finding this video, my name's Krystal. I'm going to be doing a get ready with me today, so if you want to see how I got this look, go ahead, keep watching. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. I have already primed my skin using my Rimmel Fix and Perfect foundation primer. And I have primed my lips with the Smith's lip balm just because I want them to be nice and soft for when I put the lip product on. I'm going to be using my Revlon Color Stay foundation. It is like really too dark for me right now, but we're going to make it work. Alright, takes me a really long time to do my foundation because I feel like it's the base for everything else that goes on your face. So if any one thing needs to look like the best, it's your foundation. So since it takes me so long, and I don't really need to explain what I'm doing here, I will talk a little bit about why I decided to make this video. Most of you already know. But just in case there's like some random person that stumbles upon this video on YouTube that doesn't know me in real life, I have been watching YouTube videos for, I don't know, probably going on 10 years now. And over the years, I've always had like a ton of people that I know ask me like, why don't you make YouTube videos? And I'm like, for one thing, I don't feel like I'd be very good at it. Everybody that I watch is just like a natural in front of the camera, and I've never really done anything like that before, so I don't know, it seems weird. It's kind of like you're just in a room talking to yourself, but I mean, I do that all the time anyways. Like I said, this is a little bit too dark for me, but I might add a little bit of my really light concealer to blend it down more. Anyway, everybody always asks me, you know, you could be making these videos too. I'm like, well, maybe, but I enjoy watching them so much more than I think I would enjoy making them. And my whole reasoning behind it was always like, you know, there's millions of people trying to make YouTube videos and be successful at it. It's just such a competitive and saturated market already as it is, that it's like, there's so many people doing it that aren't successful at it. I don't want to just become another one of those people. So anyway, I always would say like, oh, I can never do that. I can never be one of these people that's super good at it. I can never make money at it. Like, some people are so famous on YouTube and they do such a good job and they have such a huge following that that's their main source of income. Like, they earn a living doing it, and I could never do that. And people would say, but why does that matter? Like, why do you have to be super successful at it? Like, if it's gonna be making videos about something that you enjoy doing, why can't you do it just to help people? You know, like a lot of your friends say like, oh, make some YouTube videos. I'd really like to hear what you have to say about makeup, or like makeup products that you're loving. Why does it necessarily have to be like, oh, well, I can't earn a living at it, so why should I waste my time? And the more people said that to me, I really got to thinking about, why can't I just do this as a hobby? Maybe it could be a lot of fun. Also, since we moved to Tennessee, like you guys know, I'm missing home a ton. I don't know, I thought about it and I was like, maybe if I make these videos, it'll feel like I have some of you guys in the room with me and we're just, you know, having a regular conversation about makeup and hair and clothes and all this fun stuff. So yes, it's very, very hard to become successful on YouTube, especially in this day and age. But why should that prevent someone from trying it out and seeing if maybe it's something they truly love to do? And it's funny because within the past couple of months when I've been considering making the videos, there's been tons and tons of videos on YouTube about how, you know, this is the worst time to start making videos, and 2018 is like the worst year to start your YouTube channel. I don't know if you guys know, but YouTube has changed their like policy regarding how you become a YouTube partner and all the things that you have to achieve with your channel before you can even, you know, get anywhere as far as earning money from it. Like, you can't even monetize your videos until you get to 1,000 subscribers. And I think you have to have like something crazy like 4,000 hours worth of viewing time or something. I'm not exactly sure on the numbers. So it's like, if you can't even begin to monetize your videos until you hit 1,000 subscribers, that is like the most daunting thing I've ever heard. So if someone is getting into YouTube for all the wrong reasons just because they want it to be their job, not that there's anything wrong with that, that's great. But if that's your sole purpose for being on YouTube, that is already like trying to dig yourself out of such a huge hole, like, because YouTube has made it practically impossible. I don't know the reasoning behind it. I've heard a few theories. I'm gonna blend this down my neck with my Shape Tape concealer because it is so light for me, so it kind of helps to bridge the gap between foundation that's too dark and my hecka pale skin color. If you're starting out on YouTube, no subscribers, no amount of like view time, and if your main goal, like, I'm not saying people shouldn't have like unrealistic goals or like goals that seem nearly impossible. I'm sure tons of people have those goals and they actually achieve them, but I don't like to set myself up for failure, you know? So it's like, I'm coming into this with no expectations. I'm making the videos because a lot of people have told me that they would enjoy watching me do them, but I'm doing it for the fun of it. I don't expect to become like a YouTube sensation. I am doing it to feel closer to my friends back home, to talk about something that I enjoy, and the only thing that I want you guys to enjoy the videos. I want to do videos about things that you guys would like to see, but I have a few ideas of videos that I'm gonna do after this one. But I really want to hear from you guys if there's anything specific that you would like to see. So please let me know. I'm gonna start concealer now. First, I'm using the Maybelline Instant Age Rewind concealer in the brightener shade. I like to re-wet my beauty blender in between my foundation and my concealer. Obviously, I haven't spent any money to start doing these videos. Lots of people go out and buy a fancy camera, fancy set of lights, they got like a fancy background. I have none of that. I've done my best to make it look beauty related with my pretty little pictures, but that's about it. That's stuff I already had. I'm filming it on my iPhone X or iPhone 10 or whatever the heck it's called. So I guess out of all the iPhones, the iPhone X has the best camera quality. Lately, I've been meaning to do my concealer and setting powder one eye at a time, because I feel like if I do my concealer on this eye and then I do my concealer on this eye, when it's time for me to do my setting powder, one eye has kind of already started to settle. I'm going to put out a little bit of my setting powder. It's just the Laura Mercier. So I've put the brightener down first, and then I'm going to do my Shape Tape, which is way too light for me. They were sold out of the colors that I actually wanted, but I figured I have such a huge problem with the brightness under my eyes blending away as I put the setting powder down on it anyway, that I was like, if I get a shade that's like way too light for me, like look, it's almost as white as my shirt. But I was thinking, you know, maybe if I get a shade that's way too light, then it's gonna be way less likely to have as much of a problem blending away. Hopefully this is good enough camera quality for you guys. Like I said, I'm not trying to shell out a bunch of money until I find out if I enjoy making these videos or not. Who knows, it might turn out to be like a ton of fun, and then a little bit down the road I can try to invest a little bit of money in it. I'm taking the setting powder now, like I said, so we can try to do this eye by eye. This is a Sigma Tapered Blending E40. Even though, you know, like you wet your beauty blender before you start using it so that it doesn't really absorb product, I feel like when you wet your sponge and then you do your foundation, the foundation getting on the outside of the sponge kind of dries it up a little bit. And if I try to go straight from foundation to concealer, it just doesn't blend my concealer very well because it's lost, you know, some of that moisture that it's supposed to retain. And then if it doesn't have enough moisture, it's gonna do the opposite of what it's supposed to do. It's gonna start to soak up your product. I wanted to buy Shape Tape for like 2 years and I just kept putting it off. But finally I was like, you know what? I gotta test it out sometime. And I knew I could always return it if I didn't like it. And I do like it. Obviously it's a little drying, but I don't really find it to be any worse than the concealers I was using before. I just think when you're dealing with wrinkles underneath your eyes, I don't really think there's going to be anything that really takes that away. It just comes with getting older, unfortunately. I am going to add a little bit of Shape Tape to the other places on my face that I want to highlight. I use this stuff so sparingly, not just because it's so expensive, but like you don't need very much of it at all, especially when you're working with a shade that's like too light for you, like I am. You do not need very much. So since I didn't buy a fancy camera, didn't buy any lights, trying to film these videos, I have very much been at the mercy of the weather because since it's still, you know, wintertime, I will sometimes be in a mood, like on a particular day where I'm like, I really feel like trying to film my video today, and I can't because there's not enough sunlight. So I really have to take advantage of the days that it's bright outside, like today. I think it looks pretty good. Once it gets to be a little bit more springtime weather, like more consistently, I will be able to film more often. Okay, so to set the rest of my face, I'm gonna use the Maybelline Fit Me Loose Finishing Powder in 05 Fair. Since that Laura Mercier powder is so expensive, I only use it underneath my eyes since it's known for being like a very good powder to kind of blur and diffuse the look of fine lines. I want to conserve it as much as I can for the area where I really need it. So I do need to set the rest of my face, but this Maybelline powder, I got it for like $5.99 at Target, which I feel like is cheap because most setting powders are already like the $10 to $12 range, even at the drugstore. Drugstore makeup is getting so expensive. That's why I feel like if there is a product that you've been wanting to get, but it's maybe a little bit pricey, you might as well get it because the amount of money you're gonna spend on drugstore items to try to mimic the effect that you're getting of the high-end one, you might as well just buy the high-end one. It used to be that you could save so much money by going the drugstore route. Well, not really that much anymore. By the way, this is a get ready with me video. If you guys happen to be wondering what I'm getting ready for, the answer is absolutely nothing. The makeup I am doing is strictly for the sole purpose of this video, and I will probably wash it off right after. Who knows? I might take a selfie. When I set the concealer underneath my eyes with a setting powder, I sometimes feel like the brightness underneath my eyes gets just blended away. I don't know if it's the brush I use, which I don't think it is. This Sigma one, this is actually an eyeshadow brush, but I feel like it is just huge, absolutely huge. It would just mess up anything that you're doing on your eyes. I don't know. My point is, I used to use this for highlight, but I have found it to be the best when I use it to set my concealer underneath my eyes. So to fix the fact that a little bit of the brightness gets blended away, I take my Ben Nye Super White Professional Powder. Now, this stuff is no joke. This is literally clown makeup. Clowns use this to get that white look all over their face. Like they will put the actual like white foundation on and then they will set it with this. So you cannot get out of hand with this stuff because it can happen real fast. Any of you guys decide to get this, like if you feel like the brightness under your eyes always gets blended away, this is a very good product to get. It will help you with that, but you need to use very light hand with it. I don't like to get it too close to the wrinkles underneath my eyes because unlike the Laura Mercier, this obviously isn't a powder that's known for helping you out in the wrinkle department. So I don't get it close to that. I mainly focus it right here. Okay, I don't know if it's picking up on camera, the fact that this is like improving the brightness. Like I said, with the camera quality that I'm working with, trust me, this is a lot better camera quality than some of the first YouTube videos that people have done. Like sometimes if I find a new YouTuber that I like, I'll go back and watch like the first video they ever uploaded. I think it's fun like to see how far people come, how much they improve. So like I say, I've been watching YouTube videos for close to 10 years. So if you think about that, that was like 2008. Camera quality was not great back then. But my point is, as far as like detail of what the makeup that I'm putting on my face looks like, I'm not sure how well you guys are gonna be able to tell. So anyways, now that we've brightened up underneath the eyes, it's time to move on to my favorite part. I'll probably say that about 10 times in this video because there's several aspects of makeup that I feel like is my favorite part. But I'm so pale right now that bronzer is life. The bronzer I'm going to be using is the Essence Sun Club Matte Bronzing Powder. I'm going to be using the Real Techniques Blush Brush. Yes, it is for blush, but I feel like it is way too big. I've tried to use this for blush and I feel like my blush just gets everywhere. But I tried it for bronzer and I like it, so that's what I've been using it for. I'm so pale right now that I was looking for a really, really light matte bronzer that was also cheap. This one's only $4.99 at Ulta, and from what I've used so far, I do like it. I'm gonna take the bronzer and blend it down my neck just a little. I feel like when you're this pale, if you don't create like a little bit of a fake shadow underneath your jawline, like it's not like I have a double chin, but if I have to look down and I'm like forcing myself to kind of have a double chin, if you don't have at least a little bit of an artificial shadow that you've created with bronzer, the double chin just looks worse. I don't like to get too out of hand with it because like I said, I'm so fair that if you use too much, it can get a little bit obvious. So I'll put the most bronzer where a shadow would naturally hit underneath there. I take my Eco Tools kind of like a duo fiber brush, and then I'll just kind of buff it out so that there's a easy transition between the bronzer and just the foundation portion. All right, I'm gonna take my Real Techniques contour brush and I'm gonna do a little bit of contour. Okay, and then I'm gonna take a little bit harsher of a contour brush. This is the NARS Ita, and just do it right up towards the top just to make that look a little bit more pronounced. Blend. I'm gonna take the powder that we used to set our face, the Maybelline Fit Me, and then carve out the contour a little bit. Okay, and then I'll just take my fan brush, this is an e.l.f. one, and just kind of dust away the excess. Okay, and then I've been trying to contour my nose a little bit lately. I used to do it and then I stopped because I was feeling like it was looking a little bit too much of a warm color, kind of muddy, kind of just ridiculous. But then if you try a cooler color, you risk it looking too cool and gray and just odd. So I'm gonna take my Naked Basic, and yes, this is eyeshadow, but it's the only thing that I have that's really like the right tone. I'm gonna take a Sigma medium angled shading E70 just because it's got that nice angle that you can kind of go down your nose. I do this very, 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 very lightly because it has the potential to look just ridiculous. But I don't like not contouring my nose at all because I have a big schnoz, as if you couldn't already tell. So I want to make a little bit of an effort to shape it a little bit. I mean, yeah, I can't change the size of it, but At least I can kind of trick the eye into thinking that it's a little bit better shape. Then I just take that fan brush again and make sure there's not like a whole lot of excess powder just hanging around on my nose. Okay, and then moving on to blush, I'm going to take the Hard Candy Fox in a Box in the shade Skinny Dipping. Taking my Sigma, oh my gosh, this is almost worn off, Powder Blush Brush F10. Definitely tap off the excess because yikes. And obviously use a very light hand, and man, I make some really weird faces when I do my makeup. Hope you guys are enjoying. And of course I'm gonna blend very lightly. I don't wanna mess up the blush or the contour. So I don't even really so much like flick it towards my ear like I did the contour. I kind of just like tap. I don't like to swirl it too much, don't wanna mess anything up, but I do wanna blend it. I'm gonna do highlight next, and then after I do highlight, I go back and I add more blush. When you put highlighter on, your blush can kind of get lost. Okay, and then for highlight, I'm gonna use my Becca Shimmering Skin Perfector in Pearl. I like to put a cream highlight down first. And for the cream highlight, I'm actually gonna be using my e.l.f. small stipple brush. Just kind of get some of it on there, just directly from the wand. I like to put cream down first because if I just use a powder highlight, I feel like it looks way too dry on my skin. All right, and then on top of that, I'm gonna take the Wet n Wild Mega Glow Highlighting Powder. The shade name of this was on a sticker that got peeled off, but I'm pretty sure this is called like Blossom or something. I don't know. I do know it's the very lightest shade in this line of highlights. I'm gonna be using the Sigma Tapered Highlighter F35. I used to use this to put powder on underneath my eyes, but I feel like it's a little bit too big for that, which is why I switched to using that eyeshadow brush. I use this for my powder highlights. Then I'm gonna take that Eco Tools blending brush that I use to pretty much blend everything. Once again, kind of doing like a tapping motion almost, just so I don't rub too much. And then, like I said before, go back and add just the slightest bit of blush, just in case any of it got kind of rubbed away. Okay, now it is time to move on to my least favorite part of my makeup routine, and that is these horrendous brows. I'm gonna take my Milani eyeshadow primer, which yes is for eyeshadow, but I like to put it on before I do my brows just because it helps my brow products stick a lot better than if I had nothing on my eyelid. Then I'm gonna take a really light colored eyeshadow to set the eyeshadow primer. This is the Sigma Large Shader E60, and I'm just going to take the ColourPop I Think I Love You eyeshadow palette, this one right here. Just to set that primer, and later when we're doing our eyeshadow, everything will blend a little bit better. Okay, so for my brows, I'm using the ColourPop Brow Pomade in Dope Taupe. This is a Sonia Kashuk just eye brush. You can use it for brows or eyeliner. I like to use it for brows. And since I overplucked my brows way too much when I was younger, I'm basically working with nothing. I'm gonna take my brush and going from the very bottom portion of where my brow naturally starts, I'm gonna make the most level line that I can to kind of create more of a brow lower since my brows go so high up on my face. Basically trying to achieve the complete opposite of what I have, which is rainbow brows. I hate my brows. If I could get microblading, oh my god, I would like make my life. Get it as straight as possible and also as low as possible without looking too thick. I'll periodically go to the other one because I want to get them to match as closely as possible. I want them to be symmetrical, you know? They say they're supposed to be sisters, not twins, but mine don't even look like they're related. My least favorite part of my brows to do is the part towards my nose, because obviously that's supposed to be the part of your eyebrow that's the most sparse. And since I overplucked so much when I was younger, mine are very far apart. So I want to continue that straight line towards the center of my face. This is typically the lightest part of your brows because you're gonna have the least amount of hairs right there. So I don't really do too many strokes with my brush. I'll kind of put a little bit of the pomade down. I won't dip back into here. I'll just take whatever's left on my brush and kind of lightly move it around, just so that my skin right there becomes tacky, because I'm gonna do the most with this area with my brow powder. Okay, now that I have that basic shape, I'm gonna do the rest with powder. I'm gonna take my Naked Basics 2 palette from Urban Decay. This is eyeshadow, but there's a lot of cool tone browns in there, so I like to use it for my brows. I'm gonna take the darkest shade, Undone. I'm gonna use this for the bottom part of my brows since there's naturally no hair there. I want it to be pretty dark. So I'm gonna use that for the bottom part and the arch and the tail, because that's the part of your brow that you wanna make the darkest. Okay, and then when we move on to the center part of our brows, we want to get a lighter shade, definitely, because you're going to have, naturally you'd have less hair here, so you'd want it to be lighter in color. I'm going to take the Naked Basics 1 and the shade Naked 2, which is almost gone, but it's a light shade and it's also cool toned, so that's why I choose that. I'm going to take the Real Techniques brow brush and just lightly create more of a shape that we started creating with the pomade. And then once I have that basic shape, I go in with the dark again and really start to try to make it look like there's some hair there. So I'll do like little individual, very lightly strokes to make the appearance of hair, but very lightly, because you don't want this area to get too dark at all. Once I'm happy with the way it looks, for the most part, I'll take my e.l.f. brow gel and just put a little bit of it in to make them stay in place. And then to finish off, after I put the brow gel in, I just go in with a brow comb and really comb them to make sure they stay in place. I comb them all to the side in the shape of my brow, except here at the front. Since I have barely any hair, I want to create the illusion of more hair, so I comb them up first And then the very tips that are sticking up too far, I comb to the side. Okay, and then once we're happy with our brows, we're going to move on to eyeshadow. I plan on doing like a bold lip today. So normally when I do a pretty bold lip, I like to do just wing liner, but you can't just do wing liner. You have to put on, you know, a little bit of eyeshadow just to give your eyes some shape and dimension. So I'm gonna take that same Sigma Large Shader E60 eyeshadow brush that we used to put the eyeshadow all over the lid. I'm gonna take my Urban Decay Naked Ultimate Basics eyeshadow palette. These are all mattes except for this very first shade. It's got a little bit of shimmer in it. It's called Blow. Put it on my brow bone. And after I do my brow bone color, I like to take the powder highlight that I put on the tops of my cheekbones and put a little bit of it on my brow bone, just so that it looks like more seamless. I mean, it comes down to meet the top of your cheekbone, so you kind of want it to match. So I'll just put a little bit of that at the highest point of my arch and kind of connect it down to where it meets the highlighter. Then I'm gonna take my Sigma blending brush. I think this is a E35. I think it says tapered blending. It's all worn off. Okay, then in the crease, I'm gonna start out with kind of a light shade. I'm gonna take Nudie from the Ultimate Basics palette, put down a basic crease contour. So all I'm pretty much trying to do with my eyeshadow is just create a shadow and some dimension and depth to my crease. Okay, so once we put the lightest shade down in the crease, we're gonna darken it up. I'm gonna take Faith. And then I wanna make that just a little darker in the deepest part of my crease, so I'm gonna take Lockout, put it a little bit farther down, right in that outer part of my eye. Just focus it in that deepest part of my crease. So I'm gonna take the darkest color that we used on our eyes, Lockout, and I'm gonna do that first. Concentrate it on the outer third. Then the next lightest that we used, Faith, and do that right in the center. But then take that first color that we used in our crease and just kind of blend it all together. I'm just using the brush that came in this palette, by the way. It's got a small end and a little bit bigger end for blending. Okay, and then we're gonna take that first color with a little bit of shimmer, put it on the inner portion. Just trying to lighten that inner quarter, give it a little bit of highlight. Okay, and then once all that is done, we're going to move on to liner. All right, when I very first take the eyeliner out of the tube, I'm gonna do the liner in the very center, just because there's gonna be a lot of product on there, and I don't want it in the inner part of my eye where I'm going to get too much product, and I don't want it towards the outer part of my eye where we're gonna do the wing, because we want the end of the wing to be very thin. Once I've gotten most of that product off, I'll go in and I'll do the inner portion of my eye, just because I don't want barely any product there. I have very watery eyes, so I can't put a whole lot of anything there. Okay, and then once it's time to go create our wing, I'm gonna put it back in the tube, pick up a little bit more product, and then you just wanna start from the outer corner of your eye, right where the top of your bottom lash line is, and you want to mimic the shape of this line right here. So I'll just roughly kind of sketch it out. Then you're going to want to create the top part of the wing. So you're gonna wanna connect the middle part to that wing you just made. So that's when you will start to make the eyeliner go thicker towards the outer corner of your eye. Sometimes it helps to kind of shut your eye and look with this eye. Okay, while I'm waiting for my eyeliner to dry, I'm gonna do my lips. I'm gonna be using the Maybelline Superstay Matte Ink in the shade Heroin. So I'm going to want a red lip liner. So I'm just gonna use a True Red. This is the Milani Color Statement Lip Liner in 02 True Red. All right, so I think that liner is dry enough now. I'm gonna curl my lashes. I'm going to use L'Oreal Voluminous Lash Paradise. And then some CoverGirl Clump Crusher on top of that. A little bit of Maybelline Lash Discovery on the bottom lashes since it has such a tiny little wand. Okay guys, so that's the finished look. This is one of my favorite looks to do. I love a bold lip, simple eye with the winged liner, barely any eyeshadow. I think it's just so pretty for spring and summer when you don't really want to wear a whole lot of makeup because it's hot. I have a lot of fun ideas in store for some future videos. I'm really excited to keep making them. I hope you enjoyed this video. It was so much fun to make. Make sure if you guys have any video ideas that you want me to do, go ahead and leave a comment on this video, or you can contact me on any social media and let me know. If you want to go ahead and subscribe to my channel, that'd be great. Also, you can hit the notification bell if you want to get notified when I make new videos. But that's going to do it for today. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.